Good morning, everybody. Not feels. What? Feels tired? Sorry, buddy. Yo, good morning, everybody. 14th of April, Thursday. Yo, we're working our way towards the weekend. Hey, what's up, Metal? Let me get this music. Go ahead and kill that. Kill that. There we go. Should be good. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good day, everybody. I hope your day is going well. It's good to see everybody. Another great day for gaming. But as we do, right? Let's hop into our news segment. Try to see what we can find. How is everybody? How you doing today? It's good to see you guys. Yo, Wick, I'm sorry you're tired, buddy. But again, I hope your birthday was awesome, dude. Did you stay up gaming, dude? Is that what you did? What'd you get into, man? Played NHL. Sorry I wasn't able to get to it, man. I wasn't feeling too great last night. I went to bed super early, dude. Yeah. So I actually feel much better this morning, but probably because I got a lot of rest last night. I was feeling pretty beat yesterday. Yeah. Oh, dude, that's awesome. Hey, the birthday vibes, dude. That's where it was at. Yeah. Nice. That's great, dude. Awesome. Good. Solid, man. Well, again, happy. Well, now it would be belated, but I'm glad you had a good birthday, dude. Sorry that you had to work. I know that you kind of had it planned to not have to work, but um, you know, at least you had a good night, buddy. Again, I hope everybody's day is going well. It's good to see you. Let's get into our gaming news. Cool. Let's do this. So the plan for today, before we get into gaming news, we still have unlocks to do before we do anything else. We've still got some unlocks to get done in Vampire Survivors. Division 1? Oh, sick, dude. All right, congrats, buddy. That's awesome. That's awesome. So we're going to play Vampire Survivors. Today, the weekly reset happened early this morning for Lost Ark. I did do a bit of Lost Ark after stream yesterday, after I got some YouTube stuff done. So, in preparation of the weekly reset, so we might pivot this afternoon, do a little bit of Lost Ark just to go, check out the weekly reset. I actually need to check and see if there's an update for Lost Ark as well. Let's check that real quick before we hop into the news. Any updates? Any updates? Not yet, huh? Not yet, it doesn't look like. Okay. What we will read this morning, though, before we play Vampire Survivors, is we'll read the update for Vampire Survivors because there was an update yesterday that I wasn't aware of, so we'll read that. But first, we'll get into our news, okay? Yo, congrats on Division One, Wick. That's awesome, buddy. We've read about this. Hello Games says new project is so ambitious, it would seem impossible even with 1,000 people behind it. Let's take a look and see what that's about. We've talked about this before. Occasionally, we'll come across these articles that have to do with people, physical altercations, significant violence. Actually, sometimes like this, in regards to video games, and it's just unfortunate. Physical violence, there's just no need in it, no place for it. That sucks. So unfortunate. Yeah, we've talked about the Chinese government is giving out approvals now for their video games where there have been basically a hiatus, if you will, regulations over the past year. We've talked about this previously through other news segments over this past week. They've lifted a lot, or they haven't lifted the regulations, but they're giving out approvals now, right? So Stock is jumping. Games are getting approved now. Finally, over in China, it's the ball is starting to roll again. Yeah. Game Pass can't stay this good a deal forever. We're gonna pull this up. Here's what I want to bring up. We see subscription services all the time get revamped, right? Will Microsoft make this a thing where maybe people that have already had a subscription service with them will get some kind of discount moving forward, be able to maintain what they've already paid, um, or will everybody get increased? Huh? We'll see. I like to see companies give a bit of at least a bit of a discount to the people that have shown some loyalty to their brand and to their services over the past. When they decide to make these kinds of changes, and not that they've done that, this is just what an article is saying, that the deal can't last like this forever, right? And in the event that Game Pass ends up increasing prices or something like that, I like to see a subscription service show some kind of um, loyalty based discount to the people that already uh, had the service prior to them making these changes. I like to see that. Tencent to block Chinese gamers' access to foreign unapproved games. Let's take a look at what that is. Okay, okay, so here we go. Uh, Sony and Nintendo update gaming subscription auto renewals after UK investigation. Microsoft has already addressed this, right? So, Microsoft has already earlier this year made huge changes globally around their subscription service. And I think the catalyst for this was actually due to the UK um, kind of investigation stuff, right? Um, Now it looks like Sony and Nintendo might be hopping on that same trend here. Now, I love it because, and I would like to see, again, I would like to see more subscription services buy into this kind of thinking. And what it is basically, if if you are bought into, you pay for a subscription service, right? But you're not actively using that subscription service for a specific amount of time, it just doesn't auto renew. Wild, right? Now, from a business point of view, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense from the company, yeah, because they want to keep making that money. But from a consumer side of things, um, it's very good for people, for the population, right? Because um, there are all kinds of situations where people could potentially be paying for these things, forget about it, not know about it, be in a state of, whatever, man. There are all kinds of, circumstances that could, um, where they're just continuing to pay for a service that they're not necessarily using. And to have these businesses have um, some kind of system set up that goes, okay, they're not using our service. We need to, their account is not deleted or anything. It's just suspended. So they're not paying for the service. They can't use the service. But if they decide they want to come back and use the service again, all they have to do is start that payment up again, right? That is the way it should be. So let's take a look at this. Some of the absolute best PS4 games are now $10 for a limited time. Let's take a look at that. They would just will not stop reporting about this gaming bed. It just won't stop, dude. It's just this every time I see an article about these gaming beds, it just reminds me of the movie Wall-E from back in the day about the robots living on Earth, and Earth's kind of destroyed and all the humans are living up, I think, in like space, but humans are basically like no longer physically active at all. You just ride around in like chairs. We're big blob messes of human massive, just obese. We just ride around in chairs and like robots do everything for us, and just screens are all over us and stuff. That's what this reminds me of. Like you're in a bed and it just moves around. You got gaming stuff all over you. It's wild, man. That's pretty wild. Gaming headset saves him from stray bullet. Woo! That would be a situation that might make you think about what you've been doing with your life. Yeah, reevaluate things a bit. I don't know. Over 50% of Steam's top 100 games work on Steam Deck now. Um, Now that doesn't mean they're necessarily verified, but they will work on Steam Deck. Uh, Keep in mind, they are continuing to increase games that are considered verified for Steam Deck, right? Now, a game that's verified for Steam Deck means that it's actually optimized and configured for the device. Whereas a game that will work on Steam Deck isn't necessarily configured, optimized for Steam Deck. You can play it on there, but you might find some wonky stuff because it's not necessarily optimized or configured for Steam Deck yet. Okay, um, but they are continuing to just exponentially get more and more and more and more and more games, not only verified but working on the device. Okay, let's change up our search real quick. Um, will the video games industry ever confront its carbon footprint? Take a look at that real quick. We've actually looked at this already. Just real quick, yesterday we looked at this. There are a lot of it's there's basically what a lot of companies, developers are considering their spring sell right now. So you can actually get a lot of titles, a lot of different games, whether it be all kinds of different platforms: PC, PS, Xbox, Nintendo, all different, new gen, old gen. There are game sales everywhere right now because of like spring sale is what everybody is labeling them as. Amazon's been doing like buy two get one free sale on games. There are just sales everywhere. So if you're in the division or in the market for any new video games right now, just do a little bit of online searching. You can find pretty significant drops on prices on a lot of games right now. From old games all the way up to brand new games. I think Elden Ring was even a game that was in the buy two get one free sale on Amazon and stuff. So you can find games on sale all over the place right now. Link to the Past takes from 90s game mags 30 years later. Yo, I love seeing like the old school gaming magazines and stuff. I remember being a little kid walking around like the grocery store with my mom and stuff. I loved going to the magazine aisle to look at the old like Nintendo Power, PC, gaming magazines and stuff like that. Um, Dude, I might still have one from the. I very rarely got one of these magazines, but I was so hyped up about Diablo 1. So hyped up about Diablo 1 getting released. And there was a magazine that showed a bunch of screenshots of Diablo 1 and stuff like that. And I might still have that at my parents' house somewhere. That's pretty neat, dude. We read about this yesterday. Basically, what this came down to is the dev is upset that they uh, signed into a contract with PS Plus to put their game on there, and then the game did much better than they thought it would. Um, they signed a contract. What they should have done was worked into the contract incentives for more money based on how many downloads the game would have. If there was the potential they thought for the game to do well, it's a risk versus reward kind of thing. It's the same exact, you know, thing as the sports world when pro athletes sign contracts and things like that. There's a bit of risk versus reward on each side of the contract for both the athlete and the owner. Same thing here. There's a bit of a risk versus reward on the side of both the PlayStation, as it were in this case, and the dev of Oddworld. And PlayStation won out here. The dev of Oddworld should have, you know, maybe potentially worked some more incentives into their contract. And if Sony wasn't having it, maybe they should have just gone, well, okay, we're just gonna take the risk if they or had more faith in their game. I don't know, but to come out and go, this is bad. We shouldn't have done this. Da, 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 I don't know. It seems a bit rough to me. We already read about this. Again, what I'll TLDR here is it's really neat. Video games are incredible pieces of art all the way around. We'll take a look, Metal. That's actually something that would be a good thing to look up. Give me a second. Let me finish talking about what I'm talking about here, and I'll look it up real quick. Um, Video games are an all-encompassing piece of art, if you were. Look, as somebody who has an amount of experience doing coding, coding is art. If you don't know, if you haven't experienced and actually performed coding, um, it can be a hot mess or it can be a beautiful thing. And it just depends on who's doing it. But even all the way through the graphic design, the music, there's so much art that goes into video games, and to be able to incorporate the players into these contests of taking screenshots, and it's a great thing because it allows the player to show off these environments that they're immersed in, as well as uh, you know giving these developers credit for these amazing worlds that they're creating at the same time, right? Let's take a look, man. Let's take a look. We'll see if it's on there real quick. It doesn't have a price on it right now, so I'm guessing not. It says coming soon still, buddy. It says coming soon. Yep. So Doesn't look like it, man. Doesn't look like it. Well, let me pull up some news to see if we can find out when it. Yeah, sorry, buddy. Sorry, dude. Uh, Still not there. Here's an article right here that says no later than the 31st of December. So, dude, it's kind of hard to tell right now. I think. Um, Again, quite often these games that are exclusive for Epic, they'll have like a 6 month to a 1 year contract that isn't always made public. Um, and rightfully so because Epic doesn't want people knowing when that the game is going to go to other platforms. Yeah. Um, uh, Steam release date will be no later than 31st December 2022. So it's hard to tell right now, buddy. It's hard to tell. Kind of hard to tell, dude. But we'll just have to keep our eyes and ears open and find out. Yeah. Sorry, man. Um, AEW video game tentative release date per Fightful Select. I am not familiar with this. It looks like a professional wrestling and video game go hand in hand. We'll read about that. I have no idea what this is, but it could be news. There could be people that are interested in this, so I'm going to bring it up and we'll take a quick look and see what it is. All right, last page here, and then we'll jump into our articles. Okay. Yeah, we've already got an article up about this. This is what I talked about just a little bit ago. They're going to jump on that same kind of altering their subscription services just like Microsoft already has. Okay, I think that's it. We'll stick with these articles for today. Shh. I hate autoplay in all these sites. AEW video game tentative release date per Fightful Select. Let's see. Shush. Fans could see a late 2022 release date for AEW's first video game. Professional wrestling and video game go hand in hand. The same is for All Elite Wrestling. So that's what AEW stands for. Yeah, All Elite Wrestling. As the promotion continues to work on its first entry into the space. Fightful Select reported on Thursday key information about the targeted release date of September. According to the report, the internal release date is scheduled for late September. A recent patent request from back in March gave insight into the potential name of the video game. Titled Fight Forever, AEW has released two mobile games titled AEW Casino Double or Nothing and AEW Elite General Manager. Not much is known about the game at this time. The Fightful report mentions that a story mode is to be included along with certain elements of the AEW theme songs and music that fans have grown to love. News and rumors continue to grow around the roster with current mentions sitting around 31 names. AEW could have the biggest video game of the fall. The fall season is usually a quiet time when it comes to video game releases with all the growing buzz both for AEW and this game, video game as a whole. It would be a time where the promotion could leverage their game as one of the stronger releases this year. At the same time, delays are a major part of the gaming industry as all major developers continue. Who is deving this game, though? That's what I want to know. Here's my thought. Here's my thought. Didn't the WWE game just pivot from 2K? I think so, if I remember correctly. I'm not going to dive into this right now. This is my thought though. I don't play the wrestling games. I don't play the wrestling games. I think what if I remember correctly, just because I think this is important stuff. Who's deving this game? Let's find out real quick. Yeah, that's actually a good. Yeah. Today, as a matter of fact, this morning they'll have new free games. Correct. Yep. Yeah, Metal. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, I'll pull it up. Actually, I'll pull up my account and show. Yeah, thanks, man. Um, I don't know how to pronounce that. It looks like Ukes or Yukis is currently leading development on the AEW console game, and they have over 25 years of experience in game dev. Apparently, okay. So here's my thought. Okay, everything that I know about um, the more current, like WWE wrestling games over the past like half decade or whatever is that they've been a big hot buggy mess most of the time. Yeah, and 2K made the latest one, and WWE was like, oh, "We're gonna pivot to a company that can do a better job." And who did they go to? EA. Now let's be honest. Why did they go to EA? Right? EA's not going to do a better job. Let's be real here. You don't go to EA for EA to do a better job on your game. You go to EA because EA was like, "Yo, we can make you money." It's not because they're going to make you a quality game. Let's be honest. Let's be real. Okay? We all know who EA is. Um so what I'm interested in here, because again, what this news segment is about is not necessarily the fact that we're all going to be interested in these games that we come across in the news segment, but just because of the industry in general, right? Um, AEW, was that what it was? I've never even heard about before, but they're coming into a genre here where I don't think there are really any other wrestling games. I think about the only other fighting realistic like kind of fighting games there are is like the other pro wrestling game and probably UFC, right? And so if Ukes or Yukis, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, Dev, if they do a good job on this game, it could actually be really, really good for that wrestling company and for that game series moving forward. I'm just saying. That's my thought process behind that, anyways. Uh, so, hello, game. Yeah. Before I forget, Metal. That's actually a really good thought, dude. Let me pull up the Epic Game Store. You've got about 3 hours, I think. Oh yeah, I go to store. My bad. You've got about 3 hours to still get Rogue Legacy. Nice little roguelike game. And The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, which is like, I think more of like a story rich kind of game, if I remember correctly. Yeah, right? Yo, it's random mode time, by the way. Exploration, story rich kind of game, yeah. It's supposed to be a pretty good game, actually. Um, but so is Rogue Legacy. So is Rogue Legacy. Oh yeah, I've played Rogue Legacy 1 just a little bit. I have it on Steam. Yeah. Still haven't touched it. Yeah. I haven't played the second one though. Random mode time. Taxi bro. Bringing everybody straight into the news. So this morning here in I think about 3 hours or so. There you go. Metal. That your emote is actually driving my taxi, dude. It just they fit together. Do they not? Your emote is driving my taxi, bro. It just looks right, dude. Uh yeah, so here in about um 3 hours I think it is, you'll be able to grab Insurmountable, yeah, and XCOM 2. Now XCOM 2 will have a lot of DLC content that won't be free with it, but just having the base game, what you'll be able to do is kind of keep an eye out for because XCOM 2 at this point is has a little bit of age underneath it. That doesn't mean it's bad. Don't. That's not what I'm saying. XCOM 2 does have. It's been out for a while now, and so has a lot of the DLC. But there's some really good DLC for this game, which you can probably pick up for some pretty good discounts during some sales. And so having the base game and then just being able to swoop up some of that DLC whenever it goes on sale, you'll get a lot of good gameplay out of XCOM 2 for sure. I know. Really cool game. Really cool game. I haven't played XCOM 2, but man, uh, way back in the day, I played um, a lot of original XCOM as a youngster. So yeah, XCOM's cool, and I know a lot of people love XCOM too. So there you go. Yo, good call there, buddy. All right. Hello Game says new project is so ambitious it would seem impossible even with a 1,000 person team. That's kind of wild. What this concerns me is with like overreach. You know what I mean? Hello Games' new project would feel impossible to create even with 1,000 people behind it, the developer has said. Speaking to IGN, studio co founder and managing director Sean Murray said that while it's not a sequel to No Man's Sky, the new game is just as ambitious. He said, for a while now, we've been working on something pretty ambitious. In the background, it's a small team, but we like it that way. Similar to No Man's Sky, it's the kind of project that even if we had 1,000 people working on it, it'd still seem impossible. The game was in very early development as of September last year, but Murray reassured that while No Man's Sky is still receiving regular updates and isn't finished by a long shot, the two games aren't impacting each other's development. No Man's Sky is not being held back by the next project, but neither is the new thing being slowed by No Man's Sky. He said, we're lucky enough to be able to allow folks to move freely to work on what excites them. Nothing else is known about Hello Games' new project, and this will likely be the case for a while. As Murray has previously said, we've learned our lesson on talking about games too early after No Man's Sky opened and controversial pre-release. Yeah. Outlaws. The latest No Man's Sky update completely overhauled space combat and added a pirate underworld to galaxy-spanning game. While it's available on PS, Xbox, and PC today, Nintendo players can enjoy the update alongside the rest of No Man's Sky when it comes to Switch this summer. Okay. Uh, Wild. I mean, there's always a concern for me when you see something like this. You know, um, especially look. I mean, hopefully, uh, Hello Games has hopefully learned some valuable lessons with what happened to them throughout No Man's Sky. Yeah, that was a pretty brutal, hyped up game that did not deliver on release at all. It did not deliver at all. Um, it has become a uh, one of those games that we quite often will reference when we talk about games that get hyped up and don't give us what they promise. Yeah, but to be fair, what I will say is that to Hello Games' credit, they are one of the few devs that have followed through on the back end of not delivering on a promise and the hype of a game at launch, and have significantly um, delivered after the fact. So while the game was absolute trash when it got released, it was nowhere near what they promised the game was going to be. They definitely, and I'm talking, they worked their butts off on that game because they felt so bad for the community of gamers that thought the game was going to be something else and they didn't deliver on it. We're talking like all kinds of DLC that people didn't pay for. They wanted that game to be what they promised it was going to be, and so kudos to them on that part. On that part, launching the game the way in the state that it was launched, not acceptable, not acceptable. But at least they did what they did and turned it around in a good way. Hopefully, they learned. We see games all the time that reach too big, right? Um, so we'll see what comes of this. Game Pass can't stay this good. A deal forever. Enjoy Microsoft subscription service while it's still so cheap and has such a diverse library. When Microsoft announced Game Pass in June 2017, a different monthly subscription service was blasting toward a spectacular flameout. That was Movie Pass, which cut its subscription price from up to $50 to a flat $9.95 per month. Suddenly, subscribers could see a movie every single day of the month for less than the cost of a single ticket in most cities. It was blatantly too good to be true, and millions of people gleefully took advantage while MoviePass hemorrhaged money and tried to strong arm the movie industry into a deal that would save it from itself. It was great while it lasted. Now, 5 years in, Microsoft's Game Pass is well past the possibility of spectacular flameout. It's a proven success. There's no reason to worry about Game Pass shutting down anytime soon, as more than 25 million subscribers pay monthly for access to hundreds of games. If you're an active player with diverse taste, it's the best deal in gaming. Like Movie Pass, I think Game Pass is too good to be true, too, but on a much longer timeline. It won't be a flameout. Instead, the deal will just get a little bit worse as we continue to pay for a subscription that feels as universal as water or Netflix. An industry analyst recently suggested there's little reason to worry about a future where gaming is dominated by a Netflix-like service. But I do think Game Pass could eventually mirror some of the worst aspects of Netflix's recent history. A price jump is almost inevitable. Game Pass is still in its subscriber building phase, with outright profit secondary to pulling in new users. That doesn't mean it's burning cash through. Excuse me, that doesn't mean it's burning cash though. In a November 2021 interview, Phil Spencer said Game Pass is very sustainable as it sits today. One could argue anything is sustainable in a company worth more than $2 trillion. Yes, but let's assume Game Pass is either profitable or getting there. Microsoft will be just fine. The much more likely outcome here is that Game Pass becomes a worse deal for subscribers as time goes on. In 2014, Netflix cost $8.99 for a standard subscription and $11.99 for premium. Since then, the price has increased 5 times. Yes, it has. And now is up to $15.49 and $19.99. It's almost doubled in less than a decade. Inflation can't account for that. In 2014, price comes to around $11 in 2022 money. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, inflation calculated. So far, Game Pass hasn't increased in price from $10, though Microsoft did add a $15 premium tier in Game Pass Ultimate, which includes Xbox Live Gold, cloud gaming, and more. But like any publicly traded company, Microsoft tends to make more money every single year, and Game Pass is a big part of its Xbox revenue. A price increase seems almost inevitable once Microsoft has enough subscribers hooked on its library. Microsoft Live subscribers threw a fit when Microsoft tried to dramatically raise Xbox Live's price in early 2021, so the company quickly backtracked. Next time, Microsoft will likely just raise its subscription prices like it's boiling a metaphorical frog, slow and steady, and no one gets too alarmed. The one reason Microsoft might keep Game Pass cheap is that the company gets a 30% cut of every digital purchase on Xbox. The profit of keeping more people in the ecosystem could outweigh the benefit in increasing Game Pass's price and the inevitable loss of a few subscribers. But let's be real, Microsoft will want to make more money both ways. Yes, that greed, baby, that greed. The deal gets worse for developers. Yes. In Game Pass's first couple of years, indie developers praised the deals Microsoft offered to get their games into the library. Their games could end up being profitable before they even came out, and Game Pass didn't seem to negatively affect how many copies they sold elsewhere. I asked an indie publisher if good deals could be included in Game Pass were still common. The general consensus is that Game Pass deals are still good, they said. Maybe that will continue to be the case for years, but it will always be in Microsoft's best interest to prioritize games that the most subscribers play. In the long run, that goal likely won't mesh with creators who make games that land outside certain demographics. It's also less likely to mean re-upping deals for games that have already spent time in the Game Pass library versus boasting about new additions. This has become a major point of criticism with Netflix, which aggressively cancels shows after a season or two if they're performing well. The creator of The Babysitter's Club, which was canceled after 2 seasons despite doing way bigger numbers than HBO shows like Succession, said that it seems like Netflix's internal metrics can change month to month. Financially, it makes more sense for Netflix to kill off shows that are doing fine to spend money on a new show that could potentially drive fresh subscriptions instead. Yeah. Game Pass on PC remains frustratingly limited. Yes. Game Pass has been on PC since 2019, and that time it's gotten better a little bit. Game selection was strong from the start, but Xbox app used to access them presented many frustrations. It was better than the Microsoft Store, but still slow. Tapped into the store as a backend. Games were packaged differently than their Steam counterparts, often had unique performance issues or other backdraws that went unaffixed. The fact they're bringing up Steam right here is a good point. Steam came out recently and said that they were open to incorporating Xbox Game Pass into their platform. Because Steam is not planning on running their own subscription service, right? So if they're not planning on running their own subscription service, it only makes sense for Steam to go, Microsoft already has a really good subscription service running. So if we can work some kind of deal out with Microsoft to run Xbox Game Pass through our platform as well, we just stand to make money off of Microsoft incorporating their service through our platform. Win-win, right? And for Microsoft, that just reaches more PC players as well. And I'm pretty sure it's already in the beta phase, if I remember correctly. It took until March 2022 for an Xbox app update to let us choose a custom game install folder. Yes, we read about that. And add mod support. That mod support remains spotty and buried, a far cry from the dead simple modding of Steam Workshop or the hands-off simplicity of DRM-free games from GOG. Yeah, it's definitely not as intuitive and nice of a subscription service for PC as it is for console players, yeah. So, I didn't read all of this, but we get the gist. I'm going to throw it in chat. If anybody wants to read the rest of that, please feel free. I'm not going to take more time of our news segment up on. It's a pretty long article. I read quite a bit of it. But basically the gist of it is, it's a good service. As far as gaming subscription services go, I think it's hard to argue with the fact that any other service being above what Game Pass is, right? Even with the PC version of Game Pass maybe not being quite as good as the console versions of it. Now, we're just starting to see the revamp of Sony's PS Plus, which is supposed to rival Game Pass. And we'll see how that plays out. But Microsoft's Game Pass service has been in this very nice state for upwards of 5 years now. And they're just continuing to build on this service in a nice way. So to see Sony do anything that's going to really rival that, I would be really surprised. Really surprised. So I don't know. I would not also be surprised to see them up the price of it. What I would really like to see is them at least show some loyalty or show some what's the word I'm looking for, to the people that have been loyal to the subscription service before they make any changes to potential pricing, upping pricing of the subscription. Uh, Give the people that have been loyal to this point and have a subscription running, say we'll let you maintain the price you've already been paying. Anybody new to the service will have to pay this amount. Anybody that's already in the service, as long as you don't break, your payment plan or whatever, you can maintain paying what you've been paying. That's what I would like to see. That's what I would like to see going forward. Yeah. Tencent to block Chinese gamers' access to foreign unapproved games. Hong Kong, Tencent Holdings Limited said it will shut down a service that allowed Chinese gamers to access overseas platforms to play unapproved foreign games in a sign of tightening compliance as Chinese regulators more closely scrutinize the industry, man. The country's largest social and gaming firm said late on Wednesday it will, on May 31st, update its Game Speed Booster mobile and desktop apps to new versions that will only support games operating in China. The new versions will no longer allow users to access foreign games. Tencent first launched the apps in 2018. Such apps with other companies like NetEase Inc. Also act as network acceleration tools that help users boost their internet speeds. It sounds like they also act as kind of a VPN to get them out of Chinese networks to access access apps that the Chinese government doesn't want people accessing. Unlike most countries, gamers in China are only allowed to play titles approved by the government and are not allowed to play with foreigners or on foreign servers. While such foreign games are not explicitly blocked by online curbs, local internet speeds are generally too slow for gamers to access them. As such, many gamers in China use such apps in practice to access unapproved foreign games such as Grand Theft Auto or Nintendo Co.'s limited smash hit Animal Crossing. The apps also, over the years, became gray area channels for foreign game developers to reach users in the world's largest gaming market. Tencent declined to provide further comment on why it had decided to make changes to the app. The move was greeted by Chinese gamers with dismay, but also many said it was not surprising. This is expected given the direction things are going, and it's hard to be a gamer in China by the day. Yeah, it sounds like it. A Chinese internet user wrote on microblogging site Weibo. Oh, Metal, what's mom making, dude? Is she making me some too? I like food. The move comes days after China lifted a 9-month free. Yeah, so here's the deal. What I'm wondering is how easy. I mean, are VPNs easy for the Chinese population to get their hands on as well? Dude, you sound like me, Metal. You sound like me. I only know there's meat involved, so it's gonna be good, dude. It doesn't matter. That sound like me, dude. Yeah, right on, dude. That's awesome. Uh, yeah, China, dude. The regulations and crackdown. They have got a thing against video games. I don't understand. I don't understand it. Um, do they hate on some video games? Sony and Nintendo update gaming subscription auto renewals. Yeah, again, they're going to be following suit with Microsoft. Sony and Nintendo are making changes to their gaming subscriptions in the UK after working with a regulator in the country. UK's Competition and Markets Authority has raised concerns over how people may be charged for subscriptions indefinitely until they proactively end them. Yeah, which could mean they're paying for services they don't use. Exactly. For PlayStation Plus, Sony has agreed to put in place measures to protect customers who haven't used their memberships for a long time but are still paying. Sony will contact these customers to remind them how to stop payments. If they continue to not use their membership, Sony will ultimately stop making further payments. Good. CMA also engaged with Nintendo, which changed its business practices during the course of the investigation so that Nintendo Switch online service is no longer sold with automatic renewal set as the default option. This means people will not be automatically entering into renewing contracts, addressing a number of CMA concerns about people becoming locked in. Yeah, see, Microsoft committed to changes in January, including contacting customers. Uh, Yeah. At the time, Microsoft said to The Verge that it would initially roll out its changes in the UK and make them available globally soon. So Microsoft is starting this in the UK, but is rolling it out globally, which is awesome, dude. That's the way these subscription services should go. Um, they contact you. You start this subscription service. If you're not actively using it, they contact you. They make attempts to contact you and say, hey, you know, we've noticed you're not using your service. La 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 la. If you continue to not use it, they contact you and go, we're stopping your payment, your auto payment. If your account is still fine, but you won't be able to use the service until you log back in and you know start payment up yourself, right? That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. Now, the time period has not been stated as far as like what is considered like how many months or how many years, right? That's what they're not telling us. Like how long is it going to go with the service not being touched by you before they actually are going to go, okay, we'll stop your payment. That's one of the critical things here they're not telling us. They're just saying that after a period of time, they'll stop it. A period of time is a very vague thing. They're not telling us anything specific. That's what we need to know. Some of the absolute best PS4 games are now $10 for a limited time. Greatest hits: Bloodborne, $10. Let's go. Last of Us Remastered, Uncharted Collection, Until Dawn, God of War 3 Remastered, God of War. Yo, PC version of this is legit. I loved it. The PC port of this was so good. So good. Uh, Gran Turismo Sport. Uh, I'm so ticked off about what they've done with the latest Gran Turismo game. Ratchet and Clank. If you're interested, some of these are available via PS Plus. Yeah, I love owning physical copies of games. I know a lot of people have gotten into the realm of like it's just easier with digital, and I agree it is. But if I'll reference something real quick, if you notice, there are, and look, especially when it comes to forms of entertainment like movies and music, things like that, man, I'm all digital. But when it comes to my games, I am still in the realm of where I prefer a physical copy, and I'll tell you why. There's a very good example right now going on with PlayStation and owning digital copies of their games, especially their older games. That is a good example of why it's nice to own physical copies. They have these older like PS1, PS2 titles, PS Vita titles that are going through this really nasty situation where they've they've reverted to this expiration date within the games, the digital games themselves. These expiration dates have come up as like a date of 1970 within these games for some reason, and they are not allowing anybody to play the digital version of the game anymore because for some reason this expiration date within the coding of the game or something came up, and Sony hasn't fixed it yet. So people aren't able to play these digital versions of these games they own. Yeah. So um, there are pros and cons. I still like having the digital or the physical copies of the games, and that's just one of the reasons why I like having physical copies of games. Uh, there are pros and cons, man, but that's just one of the more recurrent situations that I've seen where, and it's still going on. Sony still hasn't fixed it, from what I understand. Feels bad. Um, I don't know. I'll put this in chat. I'll put this in chat in case anybody's interested in grabbing some PS4 games. Uh, will the video games industry ever confront its carbon footprint? Probably not. In this week's newsletter, from the environmental impact of servers and plastic packaging down to the energy of PCs and consoles consume, the sector can no longer afford to play around. Uh, this is what this is what I'll attribute this to. There's a lot of money in video gaming. There's a lot of money in video gaming. It'll be addressed to an extent, but anywhere where large corporations and businesses stand to make a lot of money, um, they'll address it to an extent, but they also won't care a great deal. It's just like oil. Oil is, you know, the oil industry is terrible for the environment, but it makes a lot of money. It's terrible for the environment, but it makes a lot of money for governments, makes a lot of money for businesses, and that's why it'll never stop, man, until oil's depleted. Basically, it's the way the world works. When a company tries to cut its carbon footprint, how far should it cast the net? Is it responsible for the choice of its customers? What if it sells something that doesn't have a carbon footprint at all until the second it's used? For some companies flush with cash, the answer is easy enough. Microsoft, for instance, has committed to becoming a carbon negative by 2030 and ultimately removing the environment of all the carbon it has ever emitted by 2050. In that accounting, it's even acceptable the cost of downstream use of its products. If you've powered an Xbox on a diesel generator or charged a Zune, holy crap, a Zune. Do you guys even know what a Zune is? Using coal power, Microsoft will offset those emissions. But for others, the decisions are triggered. Yo, Zunes were amazing, by the way. I had a Zune back in the day, and get wrecked iPod. Zune was where it was at, dude. But for others, the decisions are trickier. The games industry, in some ways, face the purest distillation of this question. Produces a leisure product which exists almost entirely in software and can depend on decisions made by the developer. Uses as much electricity as boiling a kettle or as little as powering a wristwatch. So what does it mean to be a climate-conscious game developer? Dude, this is a long article. This is a long article, man. I'm gonna read this last section here. We'll just like kind of try to TLDR this thing. Summarize it. Talking about ethics and obligations in climate action is always difficult and doubly so when discussing a leisure activity, which, let's be honest, no one needs to do it. Now, now I just want to stop reading this. Don't tell me I don't need to play video games, man. You don't know me. But I can't think of many other activities where the carbon footprint can differ a hundredfold with so little practical difference for the user. If you play games, the revelation probably makes little difference to you unless you live a very, very strange life. The electricity used by your gaming machine of choice is a tiny fraction of your personal footprint. And if you do live that strange life, then honestly, your decision to become a vegan shut-in who sits in a tiny house, heated exclusively by the exhaust from your massive gaming rig, is probably sort of ethically praiseworthy. But if you make games, I'm not so sure the difference can be easily shrugged off. Take Elden Ring, the current star of the Zeitgeist. According to analyst site Steam Spy, the PC version has between 10 and 20 million owners, with an average total playtime of 77 hours, drawing, let's say, 500 watts per player. That means the game has consumed, in its first 6 weeks on sale, between 385 gigawatts, I think is what that is, and 770 gigawatts of electricity just on the PC version. It's also out on Xbox and PlayStation. For comparison, in the same period, Hornsey 1, the largest offshore wind farm in the world, can output 1,200 gigawatts. That might be gigawatts an hour of electricity if the wind is blowing just right the whole time. What decisions could the developers have made to reduce the power draw? Could they have locked the frame rate of the game or limited the resolutions it can be played at? Could they even have changed the entire visual style of the game? Such changes may seem drastic, but even a small change, one that lessened the power draw of the game by a single percentage point, would almost certainly outweigh any conventional savings the studio could make if scrapped all staff flights, switched to entirely renewable energy for its office heating, and shipped its games in cardboard boxes. There would be more benefits than just the direct ones, too. A self imposed moratorium on ever more computationally intensive games would have the effect of extending the lifespan of gaming hardware, reducing the embedded emissions in every console and graphics card sold. It would lower the cost of development for everyone, freeing up the thousands of people who spend their professional lives perfectly simulating horse testicles and modeling rocks and trees. Jeebus. And it would finally stop Bitcoin fans replying to every article I write about the energy intensive nature of their hobby with a snide "what about video games?" helping me win arguments on the internet. It can't do better than that. Okay, look, man. Here's an even better way to view this. And what I started this article out with was, um, the oil industry, right? Ultimately, ultimately, the entire world could be run off of renewable energy, but we won't do it because of money. Because of money, right? Like the way the world is already set up, and we have so many these governments and corporations and everything that stand to, that they're just ingrained in what the world does, and there's so much money and business and everything tied up in whether it be, fossil fuels and things like that, oil and coal and things like that. Um, but ultimately, I mean, and we're getting better, but and I'm not super educated on this matter, but I do. I mean, look, man, you talk about renewable energy, the sun, dude, the sun. We and we've technology has come so far now that ultimately, I mean, if we could just be pulling so much renewable energy off of the sun with solar panels, because solar panels have come a long ways too, compared to what they were like 10 to 20 years ago. Solar panels are pretty amazing nowadays, and there's just uh, so we talk about, you see an article like this and it's like the carbon footprint of video game, when really it's just a matter of the world needing to address like energy as a whole. It just needs to be renewable, environmental friendly sources of energy that we're taking in the first place, right? Um, we just have such a hard time trying to get the entire world to buy into that thought process and incorporate it, because there's so much business and money and everything already into the fossil fuels of what we do. So I don't know, man. There's so many ways to go about addressing this situation, and the core of it is just renewable energy, man. Like natural sources of energy. That's where we need to be. That eliminates this at the get go. Yeah. Um, so I don't know, man. I don't know. Again, I'm not. I'm also not the person that should be like talking about this probably, but whatever. That's news for today. That's news for today. Another good segment though. Another good segment. I love doing the news. Um, yeah, we'll be doing some vampire hunters and maybe some lost art today too. But I love doing the news. It's great. It's great. I don't know if you're not hanging out to move into some gaming with us, then, or if you're viewing this on YouTube, because I've started putting these on YouTube every day, and you're not able to catch these live with us, then stay healthy, stay safe, be kind to one another, and we'll catch you for the next episode. Okay. But if you're ever able, then we do these I stream live every day at 6 a.m. Central North American time, and we'll always start our segments with news, gaming news. It's important. I like to stay current, and so yeah, hopefully we'll get to see more people come around that maybe get to be exposed to some of what our news segments have to offer. That are finding these things, these episodes on YouTube and stuff like that. But if you're enjoying the content and you are watching this not live on YouTube, please consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons, and maybe if you're able to find the time, come hang out with us when we're live. All right. But for now, everybody take it easy. Have a good day, and we'll be moving on to gaming now. But yeah. Have a great rest of your day if you're not hanging out with us moving forward. All right.